So he will play in the National Football League.
Your thoughts about what Matt has done in Lincoln? First year they had games that they could have won, but that's been the trend there for really 6 to 8 years. Then last year close, but they just did not know how to finish or win. And it looks like he's tweaked that. They beat Colorado up pretty quickly. And now a great test, almost like looking in the mirror against Brett Bielema and Illinois. That defense seems to be, they'll strike you, won't they?
The Nebraska defense?
Yeah.
Yeah, Illinois' defense is good, too.
Absolutely.
I've studied them a little bit. But Nebraska, what Matt's done there in a year with the culture and how they do things and bring them back to toughness. And it's just amazing, I think, what he's done in 1 year there. Now, I do believe there were some players there that, Matt loves to develop people. And there were some guys on that team that wanted that and had talent. So, and they brought in some guys. But that defense they have, Tony White, not only do they have good players, but the scheme, that 3-3-5 they're running, he does it fantastic. He learned it from Rocky Long. And I don't know if you guys know Rocky. And Rocky was one of the best ever at running it. And Tony played for him at UCLA and then coached with him at San Diego State and really learned it. And he's done a fantastic job with the talent and fitting it into his scheme at Nebraska. And then Brett's got a defense over there at Illinois. Their secondary is really good. They're not as good up front as Nebraska. Nebraska's got some guys up front that are really hard to handle. But it's going to be a fun game to watch, and I'm really anxious to see Nebraska's freshman quarterback, how he handles that secondary of Illinois.
He is – Raiola, you mentioned, he's grown up. There are people that grow up with, football coaches for dads or football players. He's grown up with Matthew Stafford as his godfather. He's gotten the opportunity to work with Patrick Mahomes. How much of that, like when you're recruiting a player and you see that, go, okay, this is somebody we can really roll with pretty quickly because he's gotten, a higher education than most would get?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the Manning kid at Texas and, all these guys that have grown up in football their whole lives, just like a lot of the young coaches that are really being successful right now, their dads were coaches. And, look at the two Harbaughs. I mean, their dad was a hell of a football coach. So I think it really helps. And I was with Raiola's old man in Detroit. I was on that staff, and his dad's a fantastic dude. His whole family is. Wife and everybody.
He was a road grader.
No, he was a tough. He struggled with a big guy on him in a 50 defense because Dominic was only 185 to 90 or 285 to 90 pounds, but he could really get to the second level in the 4-3 scheme, and really was a good pass blocker. And he made all the calls. He was really a good player.
You talked a couple of times and mentioned how you've watched film on this team or that team or whatever. What is maybe a scheme or a team that you've watched here recently that's really jumped out to you for whatever reason that may be?
Well, the one that I haven't really watched them, but the Tennessee team to me is I'm really anxious to when they get in the heat how they do because
Oklahoma this weekend.
Yeah. Oklahoma, I don't know that they have an identity yet on offense. So that's going to be an interesting game. But they're the one team I think is a surprise right now that could, really make a run at things.
All right. How many times when you were at Temple or Baylor did you threaten to fight Matt Rhule on the sideline?
Well, okay, you guys got to understand, Matt was GA'd for me in 2001 at UCLA, right? So Matt and I we love each other, but, we would get after each other on occasion. So we had a lot of fun together. And I think the players liked it. It was, we were competitive. Matt's the same way. I'm not there with his staff right now, but he'll challenge them and they'll challenge him. So, I think that the players like that because, everybody's on the player, right? But the coaches are on each other too, and the players can see how competitive it is. They like that.
Why does he, in year 2, take a team to a different level? You mentioned the culture. He obviously, the first year at Baylor, as you know, was a disaster because it just was so much going on. And then you go 7-6 or whatever it was, and then had the team that played in the Sugar Bowl. Why does it work that way? Is culture the main thing, or is it developing players?
Okay, I think Matt's biggest asset is his ability to get to know the players to a point where they'll do anything for him. He spends so much time with the players, and not only just not football. I'm talking about their personal lives, their family, everything. And as you get to be around Matt more and more as a player, they'll just go to war for the guy. I mean, he knows they believe in him, and they believe in each other, and it's a hell of a combination.
It's that foxhole, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm telling you, his players right now. If you go, I went over there this spring, and I was so impressed. The culture already developed in that building, and how everybody's on the same page, and you can see the love for each other in the building and on the field. So in a short period of time, he's done a fantastic job there.
How much of that, when you guys got here, it was a completely different rebuild type situation because you had a lot of guys that were really successful a couple years before and had won Big 12 titles, but had gone through all this off the field strife that just kind of leveled their emotions. Like you had to build them back up on a different way,
yep.
And clean out like some of the things that had gone on. With Nebraska, how much of that, the culture building so fast there is, you can feel it from the student body and the fans and the people in Lincoln, how badly they want this back to where they believe it can be, and the kids wanting to be a part of that because as opposed to being kind of sad about it, they're enthusiastic about bringing the glory back to Lincoln.
Well, I'll tell you a story about Baylor, and to me, this is the biggest difference. By the way, Art Briles is one of the best coaches that's ever coached football. Mm-hmm. I mean, but when we got there, our first workout in the off season, this is the darndest thing. So we got done, and the players were all at one end of the field, and all the coaches were at the other end. I don't know why we were there, why we were separated at the time. The players started yelling at the coaches, "You Northerners, go home. We don't want you here." What? It's the honest to God truth, guys. So we started from there at Baylor. Now, they didn't start from there at Nebraska. I know that because a lot of the really good players on that Nebraska team are from the state of Nebraska, and they love Nebraska. Right? So they just wanted somebody to come in with an idea and a program and a process, and boy, they've really run with it. So two different jobs, completely two different jobs.
Yeah, totally different situations. You're